is no way Ruto can go past 35% of the vote today. Absolutely no way. The opposition has the numbers. It is up to them to create the relevant structures. If they don't,
what do you think about this projection, Herman Manyora, first of all?
those projections, the opinion polls and all that is about numbers. Elections and politics, all this is about numbers. I may not agree with the opinion polls in terms of the numbers, but I want to say something. In 2022, or the run up to 2022 election, Raila had the numbers, big numbers. I do not see anybody within the opposition today who can command the sort of numbers Raila was commanding. So, numbers are important, but you must do something about those numbers. In 2022, once again, I said William Ruto was not going to win that election. I have maintained throughout that William Ruto did not win 2022 elections. But William Ruto became President of the Republic of Kenya, and we are currently his subjects. What happened in 2022 is that Raila lost the elections. Ruto did not win. Raila lost the election. Now, this is very important because none of these people in the opposition, I have said, has the sort of numbers Raila had in 2022. So you must look at 2022 and draw lessons for 2027. Ruto does not have the numbers the opposition has as of today. But the opposition, even with the numbers the opposition has, it is quite possible, as in 2022, the opposition could lose the election and the Ruto will earn himself a second term without winning the election. This is very important. And losing an election simply means there are certain things you ought to do and yet you are not doing them. Or there are certain things you are supposed to avoid and yet you are doing them. I want to mention just one or two for 2022. I said the biggest undoing for Azimio was lack of structures. I want ODM. I remember I was on Citizen TV, and I want ODM. I want Azimio. If you ODMized Azimio, if you make Azimio ODM and ODM Azimio, you are going to lose this election. They didn't listen to me. They didn't create structures that would have operated independent of ODM and independent of Raila. So the decisions were made by one individual. So if those decisions are wrong, then everybody pays for it. Secondly, lack of organization was to be found in simple yet critical things like not manning the polling stations. This was evident in 2007. It was evident in 2013. Everybody thought Raila would not make the same mistake. They made this mistake in 2013. If you follow the Supreme Court, especially Kathy Kilonzo's submissions in the Supreme Court, in 2017, there was even a pay bill. Kalonzo was seen holding that pay bill to raise money for manning the polling stations. They didn't do it. In 2022, they said Uhuru and Mount Kenya, whatever, were supporting Raila, and therefore they would raise enough money. And this time round, they will have agents in every polling station and they will take care of them. They didn't do that. So the opposition could easily lose this baby to William Ruto. Because, truth be told, I'm not seeing anything to convince me that the opposition is serious. I've not seen it. And when I say this, sometimes people bash me. People call me all sorts of names. The bar was in the village today. I went to Kisa to visit a friend of mine called Francis. He was making some work. He had some work repairing his house. There's a workforce there. They told him, Manyora, we like you, but now, well, umeanza kupotea njia. Kupotea njia is to tell them what I told Raila last time. I want to leave it there. That the opposition has numbers. I don't believe those opinion polls. They are wrong because the truth on the ground is Ruto is doing badly. But the other truth is that the opposition is not taking advantage of the numbers they have. They are not organized. They have not created structures. They will be caught with their pants down, and William Ruto will retain the State House. If they do not work on serious structures, because elections, like a war, is a science. Let me land there.
I thought maybe that is where also the polls are really predicated on, since they don't really have the act together and they don't seem to be having a structure. We've been having this debate even with you, Professor Vitela Naituli, that even having a name, for the United Opposition has been such a struggle for them till the year has ended. And they always, advance this statement and idea that, you cannot reveal your strategies right now, is way too early. So we have it up our collective sleeves until we find the providential time to reveal what our plans are. But I wanted you to maybe crystallize and polish for us, Herman Manyora, when you say that this or 2022 was for the opposition to lose. William Samoei Ruto did not win that particular election. It was the opposition who lost the election. We thought this election is very binary. So it's either a yes or a no, or it's either 1 or 2. Is either we have a winner or a loser at the end of the day. So since maybe also in hindsight they're not learning from their mistakes in the past, we'll have a recurrence of this as well, and this would be a shoo-in for William Ruto. And this is what now the polls really are showing at the end of the day, even if you don't really, believe in the InfoTrack polls that's really came out. 28% and 13%, I think that is a wide berth, right? If we now go for the whole country, if we don't just have the sample size that was really taken, briefly, and then we come to Ndegwenjiru. And I can see Honorable Sossion as well is here.
Other issues about polls aside, polling does not poll those arguments you are bringing on for the were you organized. No, they just ask you if elections were held today, would you vote for Manyora or for the bar? It's not a question of the gymnastics we are talking about.
It is passing through the prism of perception at the end of the day. No. As you perceive. You perceive this is how United Opposition is right now. This is the current state of play with the United Opposition. This is the current state of play with the executive. And then you base your decision on that.
No. It's polling for presidential whatever is a very simple, straightforward thing. If elections were held today, who would you vote for? Is it Ruto? Is it Professor Gola? Is it Kalonzo Musyoka? It's just as simple and as straightforward as that. They don't go. If they went into those other things, then it will be a very difficult thing altogether.
But you're not really you're not drawing your answer from a vacuum. At least you have a basis from where you're drawing your answer.
The person carrying the vote. Sometimes they poll people who carry votes. Sometimes they poll just anybody who is an adult. The person carrying the vote is asked, if you were to cast the vote today, who would you cast it for? And I can assure you, Manyora, let me just finish. And I can assure you, the bar, if that were to happen, then Ruto won't get beyond, won't go past Kalonzo Musyoka and those others. They will be ahead of him. But the other things will come into play as we head to the election itself in 2027. So what I was saying is, you see, you have to be organized to win an election. There are stages you go through to get to get past the poll.
I just wanted to give you, Prof, some information as a researcher, that it depends, these polls, it depends how you sample them. It depends how you have been paid to produce them buyers for perception purposes. So, in my opinion, those polls mean exactly nothing.
That's why I began by saying, Prof, Other things about polls aside, we leave them for the time being. You see, and I said, I know there are a lot of questions and what have you. There are certain things that are outright not possible. As today we stand, the numbers are on the side of the opposition. There is no debate about it. Walk in any part of this country, you will go back to Nairobi convinced the opposition has the numbers. There is no way Ruto can go past 35% of the vote today. Absolutely no way. Except, and I'm doing some writing, I will look for Kitira to help me out write. He writes very well. Except that even the opposition, while they are ahead, they may not be as ahead as they may imagine. Maybe by another 10 or so points. Maybe they are at 45 or something like that. So there are people hanging in between there. And those are the things we are saying. If you are organized, you are able to mobilize those numbers you have and add on more. And the psychology of election is such that the voter around January 2027 or November 20 next year, they begin to see where things are moving and they fall in line also. So what I meant about was that the opposition has the numbers. It is up to them to create the relevant structures. If they don't, they will lose the election the same way Raila lost it.